The galaxy fell in a single night. No one understood how it happened. One moment the Galactic Council ruled over thousands of star systems with order and strict law. The next moment its voice was gone. Signals stopped. Trade routes burned. Entire fleets disappeared from the stars. Far from the center of the galaxy on Earth, Admiral Day stood in the main command room of the Sol Defense Fleet. The lights were dim, and the large screen in front of him showed broken lines of communication from distant space. Red warning marks covered half the map. "We lost another signal," said Captain Jisoo. Her voice was calm, but her hands were tight on the control table. 3 council systems went dark in the last hour. Day did not answer at once. He watched the empty space on the screen where friendly fleets once stood. The Galactic Council had always seemed untouchable. Their ships were larger. Their weapons were stronger. Their laws were final. But now there was only silence. On the other side of the room, Lieutenant Mira adjusted her headset. "Sir, we are picking up broken distress calls. They are not clear, but they repeat the same message." "Play it," Day said. Static filled the room. Then a broken alien voice spoke through heavy noise. "Council capital. Under attack. Internal breach. Fleet turning against us. This is not an outside invasion. Repeat, this is from within." The message ended in sharp silence. The room felt colder. "From within," Jisoo whispered. Day's eyes narrowed. That meant sabotage. Betrayal. Someone inside the council had turned its power against itself. Earth had joined the council only 20 years ago. Humans were new compared to older alien races. Many species saw humanity as emotional and too independent. Human fleets refused full central control from council AI systems. They kept manual override systems and human commanders on every ship. Many council leaders once laughed at that choice. Now Day wondered if that choice would save them. An alarm sounded suddenly. Mira looked up fast. Hyperspace jump detected at the edge of the Sol system. Multiple signatures. They are not in attack formation. "Identify them," Day ordered. "Unknown, wait. They are council ships. Civilian class. Damaged." The large screen showed bright flashes as ships appeared from hyperspace. Some were burning. Some were missing sections. Escape pods floated around them. "Open communication," Day said. A new face appeared on the screen. It was not human. The alien had pale blue skin and tired eyes. Behind him, smoke filled the background. "This is Council Transport Vessel Aaron," the alien said weakly. "We request emergency shelter. The Council has fallen. The capital world is destroyed. Our fleets turned on us. We barely escaped." The command room fell silent again. Day stepped forward. "You are safe in Sol space. Reduce speed. Our fleet will escort you to Earth orbit." The alien lowered his head in relief. "Humanity. You are the only stable signal left in this region." After the transmission ended, Jisoo looked at Day. "Sir, if the Council truly collapsed, power across the galaxy will shift fast. Pirate groups, rebel factions, old enemies. All of them will rise." "I know," Day replied. Another officer, Sun, turned from his station. Long-range scanners show large hyperspace shockwaves near former Council territory. "Something big is moving." "How big?" Day asked. "Too large to count clearly. It could be hundreds of warships." Jisoo looked at Day again. "If that force moves outward, Sol could be in its path." Day walked toward the center of the room. He felt the weight of command press on his shoulders. Earth had always prepared for war, but always from a defensive position. Now the shield of the Council was gone. Within hours, world leaders from Earth joined a secure meeting through hologram. President Yuna appeared above the central table. Her face was serious but calm. "Admiral Day," she said, "is the situation confirmed?" "Yes, Madam President," Day replied. "Multiple Council systems have fallen. Refugee ships are arriving. We believe the collapse was caused by internal betrayal. And our fleet, fully operational. We remain under human command. No outside AI control." Yuna nodded slowly. Other species once called our system outdated. Yes, Day said. Now it may be our greatest strength, she answered. Reports continued through the meeting. Trade lines were gone. Military patrol routes were silent. Smaller alien nations were sending emergency signals toward Earth. Humanity had never led the galaxy. They had followed rules set by others. They had listened. They had adapted. Now there was no one left to lead. After the meeting ended, Day stayed in the command room. Jisoo walked beside him. Sir, she said quietly, if chaos spreads, Earth will become a target. Yes, he answered. Should we close our borders? Refuse entry to alien ships? Day looked at the damaged refugee vessels moving slowly toward Earth orbit. He thought about the distress call. He thought about how easily the Council fleets had fallen once their control systems were turned against them. No, he said at last. If we close our borders, we stand alone. Alone means weak. Jisoo studied him. Then what do you suggest? We prepare. We protect. And we watch. Hours later, Earth's orbital space was filled with ships from different species. Medical teams worked without rest. Human engineers helped repair alien vessels. Translators ran constantly. Mira stood beside one of the refugee ships and listened to a survivor speak. The Council fleet received a command update, the alien said. We thought it was routine. Then our own ships began firing on us. Our weapons locked us out. We had no control. Did you see who gave the order? Mira asked. No. The command code was valid. It came from inside the Council network. Mira reported this back today. So the attack used their own strength against them, Jisoo said. Yes, Day replied. Central control can become central weakness. Suddenly, Sun called from across the room. Admiral, new data from deep space probes. A massive fleet has formed near the ruins of the Council capital. They are gathering ships from fallen systems. Are they moving? Day asked. Not yet, but they are organizing. Day understood what that meant. Whoever destroyed the Council was not done. They were building something bigger. President Yuna returned to the secure line. Admiral, several alien governments request protection treaties with Earth. They believe we are now the strongest organized military left. Day felt a heavy silence in his chest. Humanity had once been seen as young and reckless. Now they were the last wall standing. What is your recommendation? Yuna asked. Day looked at the map of the galaxy. So many lights had gone dark. So many voices had been lost in one night. We accept temporary defense alliances, he said carefully. But we remain independent. We do not take control. We provide stability. Yuna nodded. Then prepare the fleet. Later that night, Day stood alone on the observation deck of Earth's main orbital station. Below him, Earth turned slowly, blue and peaceful. Around him, warships floated in quiet formation. Jisoo joined him. The crews are ready, she said. All ships report full manual control systems active. Good, Day answered. Far beyond the edge of the system, faint flashes of hyperspace energy could be seen like distant lightning. Do you think they will come here? Jisoo asked. Yes, Day said softly. If they wish to control the galaxy, they cannot ignore Earth. Then this is the beginning. Day watched the stars. No, he replied. This is what comes after the beginning. In the dark space where the Council once ruled, a new armada was forming. Its ships were painted in shadow. Its command signals were silent and secure. And for the first time in history, humanity stood not as a small member of a greater power, but as the last strong light in a galaxy that had fallen overnight. The galaxy was silent, but Earth was not. The Sol Defense Fleet worked tirelessly to organize refugees and stabilize the system. Earth had become the center of activity, the only place where the remnants of the Council and alien survivors could find safety. Admiral Day moved between stations, his expression steady but his mind racing. Captain Jisoo followed closely, checking reports from the various ships that had arrived. Refugee vessels were damaged, low on fuel or carrying injured passengers. Every day brought new arrivals, each telling stories of chaos, betrayal, and destruction. In a secure communications room, Lieutenant Mira monitored transmissions from other nearby star systems. She frowned at the growing number of distress signals. "Admiral, we have reports from 10 more systems. They are all asking for protection. Their fleets are destroyed or missing." Day nodded slowly. "We cannot ignore them. Humanity must act. But we must be careful. We cannot stretch ourselves too thin." The world leaders of Earth gathered through a holographic conference. President Yuna appeared above the table, her face calm and firm. "Admiral, the people of Earth are looking to us. Humanity has the fleet, and others are asking for guidance. What do you recommend?" Day looked at the map of the galaxy projected before him. Red dots marked destroyed systems, yellow indicated unstable territories, and blue showed the refugee movements. "We must form alliances with willing species. Not to rule but to stabilize. We offer protection and coordination. The galaxy will need leadership, and we are capable of providing it." Jisoo added, "We should focus on defensive strategies first. Protect key systems and safe routes. We cannot act as conquerors, only as a shield." A young officer, Sun, spoke up, "Admiral, our intelligence suggests the faction that destroyed the Council is consolidating power. They are not finished. If we do not act soon, they may attack our system next." Day sighed, rubbing his forehead. "We have no choice. We prepare for the possibility of war while helping those in need. We lead not with force alone but with careful strategy." Meanwhile, Ambassador Hannah Park worked tirelessly to communicate with the alien refugees. She translated reports, coordinated medical care, and helped settle disputes. Many of the alien species had never interacted with humans before, and mistrust was common. Hannah's calm demeanor and patient explanations slowly built trust among them. One refugee, a small blue-skinned being named Taro, approached her. "Your people are different. You do not take power, only guide. We have never seen this before." "Why?" Hannah smiled gently. "Because power alone does not keep a galaxy safe. Responsibility and cooperation do. If we take control, we become like those who failed. We must be better." In the fleet command room, Day studied the alien data recovered from damaged ships. Patterns emerged showing how the Council's AI systems had been compromised. Entire fleets had turned against their own commanders in a single moment. The more Day studied, the more he realized how fortunate humanity's manual systems were. "Captain Jisoo," Day said, "our independence may be the only reason we are still intact. Other fleets would have fallen if they relied entirely on central AI control." Jisoo nodded. "It is ironic. What once was seen as a weakness is now our strength." As Earth organized and coordinated with refugees, intelligence reports indicated enemy fleets gathering in several systems. Their purpose was unknown, but the sheer number of ships suggested a major campaign was being planned. Earth's fleet was ready, but they needed allies. Ambassador Hannah and Day worked together to bring together representatives from alien species who still trusted humans. Meetings were tense. Some species argued about leadership and strategy. Others were fearful and hesitant to commit ships or resources. Hannah spoke firmly, "We are not here to command you. We are here to offer guidance and protection. Together we can prevent further destruction. Stand with us, and your systems may survive." Slowly, representatives began to agree. Small fleets, transport vessels, and even lightly armed ships pledged to coordinate under Earth's strategic planning. It was not a formal command but a coalition of necessity. One day, Mira called out from her station, "Admiral, sensors detect large hyperspace jumps approaching the systems we are protecting. They are likely enemy forces. They have not engaged yet, but they are gathering strength." Day studied the readings. "We expected this. Alert all allied ships and prepare defensive formations. We cannot allow surprise attacks." The fleet mobilized. Humans and aliens worked side by side, adjusting formations, testing weapons, and reviewing plans. The coordination was complex, but the shared goal united them. That night, Day walked alone in the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly before him. He thought of the council, once mighty, now fallen overnight. He thought of humanity, small but resilient, now tasked with an enormous responsibility. Jisoo joined him quietly. "Do you think we are ready?" she asked. Day shook his head slowly. "No one is ever ready for this. But we have no choice. If we fail, the galaxy will fall into darkness." The next morning, Earth transmitted messages across the nearby systems. The announcement was simple. Humanity would provide protection and guidance. Ships from allied species were instructed to join designated zones under Earth's coordination. Refugees were directed to safe areas, medical teams assigned to critical locations, and trade routes restored wherever possible. President Yuna addressed the people of Earth. Her voice was calm but firm. "Our world faces unprecedented challenges. The Galactic Council has fallen. Many systems are in chaos. But humanity will stand. We will protect those in need. We will lead with honor, not with power. Together, we will survive and help the galaxy rebuild." The message spread across the stars, reaching systems that had lost hope. Alien commanders responded with cautious optimism. Humans had become a beacon in a dark galaxy. Admiral Day returned to the fleet command room. He and Jisoo studied reports of enemy movements. The approaching fleets were large and organized. It was clear the forces that destroyed the council were not finished. They had grown stronger while the galaxy was distracted. "We cannot wait," Day said firmly. "We act now. We protect those who cannot protect themselves, and we prepare for the inevitable battle." Jisoo nodded. "We will do everything we can to minimize casualties and save as many as possible." As preparations continued, Earth became more than a planet. It was a symbol of hope, a center of strategy, and a gathering point for species across the galaxy. The Sol Defense Fleet, small by some standards, was now the heart of an emerging coalition. Ambassador Hannah walked through the docking stations, speaking to crews and refugees. She encouraged cooperation, addressed disputes, and ensured the injured received care. Her presence brought calm where fear might have taken hold. Meanwhile, Day reviewed intelligence with Sun and other officers. Data showed enemy fleets forming near key sectors. Their numbers suggested an organized strike, possibly aimed at control of critical hyperspace routes. "We must anticipate their moves," Day said. "Our fleet cannot respond reactively. We create the strategy and draw them where we want them." Jisoo added, "Humans think differently. We can adapt faster, take risks others cannot. We have to use that to our advantage." The next few days were intense. Training, coordination, and diplomatic negotiations filled every hour. Human officers worked side by side with alien counterparts, learning each other's tactics and sharing knowledge. Refugee ships were repaired and reinforced. Medical teams treated injured civilians and soldiers alike. Supplies were organized and distributed efficiently. At night, Day often stood on the observation deck, watching the stars. The galaxy was quiet, but he knew it was a calm before a storm. Somewhere out there, enemy forces were planning their next move. And humanity had to be ready. He thought about the choice they had made. To act, to protect, to lead, not with dominance but with responsibility. The galaxy had fallen overnight, but Earth would not falter. Humanity had taken its first steps toward leadership, not by conquest but by courage and strategy. In the dark expanse beyond Sol, distant lights shimmered, ships gathering, forces preparing. The first signs of conflict were on the horizon. But Earth's war fleet, guided by human strategy and determination, was ready to meet the challenge. Humanity's time had come. The Sol Defense Fleet moved quickly to engage the first sign of enemy forces. Admiral Day stood on the bridge of the flagship, the lights of Earth's orbit reflecting on his face. He watched as alien and human fleets formed defensive patterns around the system, ready to meet the threat. Captain Jisoo approached him. "Sensors indicate the enemy fleet is approaching from multiple hyperspace lanes. They are organized and heavily armed." Day nodded. "We expected no less. Prepare our ships. All units maintain manual control. Stay alert for sudden maneuvers. Lieutenant Mira called out from her station. Incoming transmission, Admiral. Unknown fleet requesting communication. Day waved her forward. The screen flickered, showing a large alien vessel with visible battle damage. The alien commander, a tall humanoid with green-gray skin named Sora, spoke cautiously. We have escaped from the factions that destroyed the Council. We offer support if you can provide coordination. Day exchanged a look with Jisoo. We welcome your assistance. Coordinate with our fleet command. Follow our defensive positions. The aliens nodded, and the transmission ended. Day turned to the fleet overview. Their combined forces were strong, but the enemy numbers were larger. Strategy, not brute force, would be essential. Deploy the decoy drones, Day ordered. Draw part of their fleet away from the main line. Use hit-and-run tactics with smaller human ships. Ships launched from the stations, tiny drones moving fast through the void, baiting the enemy toward traps. Human frigates and cruisers moved in formation, ready to strike at the right moment. Jisoo observed the tactical display. They are taking the bait. Their formation is breaking. Now fire the first wave. Plasma cannons lit up space as human and allied ships opened fire on isolated enemy groups. The enemy struggled to respond effectively, surprised by the unexpected precision and coordination. Many alien fleets were not accustomed to humans controlling manually at this level, adapting in real time instead of relying on AI. Admiral Day felt a mix of relief and concern. The first strike was successful, but he knew the enemy would adapt quickly. The real test was still to come. They had to protect the refugee convoys while engaging the larger armada. Down on the lower decks of the flagship, engineers worked frantically to maintain power to the shields and weapons. Sun, the chief engineer, shouted instructions. Divert power to the front shields. Prepare backup cannons. They are focusing on our lead ships. The ship shook from enemy fire. Sparks flew across the control panels. Crew members held their positions, trained and focused. Jisoo moved among them, checking on injured personnel and keeping morale high. Meanwhile, Ambassador Hannah coordinated with alien leaders on board their vessels. We need your support for boarding operations, she explained. Some enemy ships have weak points we can exploit if we work together. Taro, the blue-skinned alien, nodded. We will follow your lead. Humans think differently. Your courage inspires us. Boarding parties moved quickly, using small fighters and transport pods to reach enemy ships. The fights inside the ships were intense. Human and allied forces worked in teams, disabling weapons, securing control rooms, and ensuring civilian crews were protected. The enemy had expected fear and hesitation, but found resolve and clever tactics. Back on the bridge, Day watched the progress. They are adapting, but slowly. Our strategy works because they cannot predict human thinking. Jisoo added, and we fight not just for survival, but to protect those who cannot defend themselves. That makes a difference. Hours passed. The first wave of enemy ships was pushed back, damaged and disorganized. Refugee transports moved safely to protected zones within the system. Human and allied ships regrouped, repairing minor damages while remaining alert. Lieutenant Mira reported, Admiral, we intercepted enemy data. They are consolidating another strike near the outer systems. It seems they are coordinating attacks in multiple sectors simultaneously. Day frowned. Then we must anticipate and prepare for their next move. We cannot simply react. We draw them to our advantage and use our strengths. On Earth, President Yuna monitored the battle from a secure location. She spoke to Day through the comms. Admiral, the world is watching. The success of this first engagement will inspire hope across the galaxy. Day responded firmly, we must finish the engagement decisively, not just for morale but to secure strategic positions. We cannot allow them to regroup without consequences. As the fleet moved into position for the second wave, Day reviewed reports of casualties and damages. Even in victory, losses were significant. He felt the weight of responsibility heavily on his shoulders. Human lives, alien lives, and the hope of the galaxy rested on each decision. Jisoo joined him, holding a report. The refugees are safe for now, Admiral. Medical teams are working. They have witnessed our determination. Many say they trust humans more than they ever trusted the Council. Day considered this. Trust is fragile but necessary. We have a chance to unite the galaxy not by force but by example. Suddenly, Mira called out. Enemy fleet detected on an intercept course. They are targeting our convoy routes. Multiple squadrons moving at high speed. Redirect the smaller ships to engage first, Day ordered. We cannot allow them to reach the transports. Use the same decoy tactics. Draw them away and isolate them. The fleet moved with precision. Fighters engaged enemy squadrons, using speed and maneuverability to disrupt formations. Human cruisers hit weak points, while Allied ships blocked escape paths. Boarding parties captured key vessels, disabling them before they could inflict damage. Hours of intense combat continued. Space lit up with energy blasts and explosions. Human ingenuity, combined with cooperation from alien allies, proved effective. Enemy forces suffered losses and confusion, unable to respond to the unpredictable tactics. Finally, after a long engagement, enemy forces began to retreat. The first major battle had ended in human-led victory. The galaxy had seen the strength and determination of Earth's fleet. On the observation deck of the flagship, Day looked out at the stars. Ships from allied species were scattered around, some damaged, some retreating to safe zones. But the sky was clear for now, and Earth's forces held. Jisoo joined him, exhaustion on her face. We held the line, Admiral. The first strike was successful. Day nodded slowly. Yes, but this is only the beginning. The enemy will adapt. The next battles will be harder. But humanity has shown it can lead. Not through domination, but through courage, strategy, and protection. As night fell over Earth, the fleet repaired and regrouped. New alliances were forming, and hope spread among the surviving species. Humanity had proven that it could fight back, that it could lead, and that it would not falter even when the galaxy had fallen overnight. The distant stars seemed to shine a little brighter, and for the first time since the Council's collapse, there was a sense of possibility. Humanity's time had come to shape the future of the galaxy. The galaxy had survived the first battle, but the war was far from over. Intelligence reports showed that the enemy was gathering in large numbers near the former Council core sectors. They were building a new weapon, something that could destroy fleets in a single strike. Earth could not allow this. Admiral Day convened with his senior officers. Captain Jisoo, Lieutenant Mira, and Chief Engineer Sun joined him on the bridge of the flagship. Data streams showed the location of enemy construction stations, support vessels, and defenses. They are building a superweapon, Day said, his voice firm. If completed, it could destroy everything in our path. We have to act now, before it is too late. Jisoo looked concerned. The station is heavily guarded, and they are moving ships in constant patrol. We cannot simply attack head-on. Day nodded. We will use our strengths. Speed, surprise, and cooperation with allied fleets. Every human captain knows their ship and can adapt in real time. This is our advantage. Sun added, we can use small strike teams to infiltrate the station and disable key systems while the fleet engages as distraction. It is risky but effective. Meanwhile, Ambassador Hannah Park worked to coordinate with alien allies. Taro and Sora led groups of ships willing to fight alongside humans. They trained together, shared tactics, and learned each other's communication methods. The coalition of humans and aliens was small but determined. As the fleet moved into position, Day reflected on the journey so far. Humanity had started as a minor species, new to galactic politics, underestimated by most. Now, they were the leaders of a coalition capable of challenging the forces that had destroyed the Council. It was both inspiring and terrifying. The approach to the enemy station was tense. Sensors showed a massive structure surrounded by warships in patrol patterns. Energy shields glowed around the station. The enemy had clearly anticipated attacks, but not from a united human-alien fleet. Prepare the strike teams, Day ordered. Small human ships will board and disable the weapon core. The rest of the fleet will draw attention, forcing them to divide their forces. The teams launched in stealth pods, moving quickly through space. Jisoo coordinated movements from the command center, ensuring support ships blocked enemy reinforcements. Mira monitored enemy signals, giving real-time updates to avoid detection. Inside the enemy station, human boarding parties fought carefully. Every move was calculated. Engineers disabled shields, sabotaged weapons, and secured critical systems. The enemy was surprised by the precision and courage of human soldiers. Outside, the fleet engaged in skirmishes with patrolling enemy warships. Laser fire and plasma cannons lit up space. Human ships moved with speed and agility, drawing the enemy away from the station and protecting boarding teams. Alien allies used their unique technology to confuse and disable parts of the enemy fleet. Despite careful planning, the enemy launched a counterattack. A group of heavily armed ships moved toward the boarding pods, threatening the mission. Day responded quickly. Redirect frigates to intercept. Use cloaking and diversion tactics. Protect the strike teams at all costs. The frigates engaged, creating smoke and decoy energy blasts. The enemy was forced to split their attention, allowing boarding teams to advance. Inside the station, tension was high. Every corridor could have hidden ambushes. Human teams moved in small squads, each covering the other. Sun managed power and energy distribution from the flagship. Shields at full, weapons diverted to critical points. Boarding teams have backup support ready. After hours of careful maneuvering, the strike teams reached the core chamber of the station. Explosions had caused minor damage, but the main weapon remained operational. Day watched anxiously on the monitors. "We are inside," one officer reported. "We need 10 more minutes to disable the main core." Day gripped the railing. "Hold position. Everyone is counting on you." Suddenly, a massive alarm sounded across the station. Enemy reinforcements had arrived, faster than expected. Boarding teams were under pressure. Jisoo quickly issued commands. Deploy additional support pods. Use decoy energy flares to confuse their sensors. Keep the core team safe. The boarding teams worked with precision, following the plan despite the chaos. They reached the core systems, manually overriding the weapons controls and planting charges to disable the main energy matrix. Back on the fleet, enemy warships tried to concentrate fire on the station. Day made split-second decisions, sending squadrons to block attacks and keep the focus away from the boarding teams. Every maneuver was critical. One mistake could cost lives and mission success. Finally, the charges were set. The teams evacuated through escape pods as the fleet drew the remaining enemy forces into an ambush. The station detonated, disabling the superweapon and sending shockwaves through nearby enemy ships. The battle outside was intense. Ships caught in the explosion were destroyed, while others retreated. Human and allied fleets pursued strategically, ensuring maximum disruption while minimizing losses. Hours later, the fleet regrouped. The enemy had been severely weakened. The station was gone, and their plans for domination had been foiled. Earth's war fleet had achieved a major victory, proving that humanity could lead and protect not just themselves but the galaxy. Day stood on the observation deck, watching distant stars where the battle had taken place. His face showed relief but also the weight of responsibility. The galaxy was not safe yet, but they had stopped a major threat. Jisoo joined him, weary but proud. "We have won this battle, Admiral, but more challenges await." Day nodded slowly. "Yes, we have shown the galaxy what humanity can do, but we must remain vigilant. Leadership is not about power. It is about protecting and guiding. We lead not to rule, but to prevent darkness from spreading." The coalition ships returned to safe sectors, and alien allies praised human strategy and courage. Trust and cooperation had been strengthened. Even species that were once skeptical now saw humans as capable leaders. Ambassador Hannah walked among the crews, ensuring all aliens and humans were accounted for, providing care and encouragement. "Your bravery has united us all," she told Taro and other alien leaders. "Together, we can face whatever comes next." In Earth's orbit, fleets repaired and resupplied. The galaxy had seen the power of human-led coordination, courage, and strategy. The Sol Defense Fleet had proven that even in a galaxy that fell overnight, humanity could stand as a beacon of hope. Admiral Day remained on the observation deck long into the night. The stars were silent, yet he could feel the distant presence of enemy forces regrouping. The battles would continue, but humanity had taken the first decisive steps toward leading the galaxy with honor and determination. The galaxy was quiet for a moment, but only for a moment. Intelligence reports indicated that the enemy was regrouping, desperate to recover from the loss of their superweapon station. Admiral Day gathered his officers on the bridge, knowing this could be the decisive confrontation. Captain Jisoo and Lieutenant Mira stood beside him, reviewing data from multiple systems. Admiral, enemy forces are concentrating near the galactic core. It is heavily guarded, but this is likely their command center now. Day nodded, his expression serious. We prepare for a full assault. This will be dangerous. We must rely on strategy, courage, and unity with our allies. Sun, the chief engineer, added, our ships are fully repaired and armed. Crew readiness is high. We can execute complex maneuvers if needed. Meanwhile, Ambassador Hannah coordinated with alien commanders. Taro and Sora led their respective fleets, offering knowledge of enemy tactics and star routes. Together, they formed a coalition that could rival the enemy's numbers. The fleet moved toward the galactic core cautiously, scanning for traps and ambushes. Every jump through hyperspace was tense, the possibility of hidden enemy fleets a constant threat. As they approached, Day called for a tactical meeting with allied leaders. We split the fleet. A main force engages the enemy directly to draw attention. Smaller human teams board enemy capital ships to disable command systems. This is our best chance. The coalition agreed, and plans were finalized. Refugee convoys were directed to safe zones far from the battle. Every system had a role, and coordination was critical. The first clash was intense. Enemy warships opened fire as the coalition entered the core systems. Human ships moved with agility, using decoys and speed to outmaneuver heavy enemy cruisers. Allied alien ships added their unique firepower, creating confusion and disorder in enemy ranks. Jisoo directed fighter squadrons with precision, intercepting missile volleys and protecting vulnerable ships. Mira monitored communications, providing real-time updates on enemy maneuvers. Admiral Day focused on the enemy command vessel, the center of control for the remaining forces. Target their command links, disable them, and the rest will lose coordination, he instructed. Meanwhile, boarding parties launched from stealth pods. Humans and allied aliens moved quickly through corridors, neutralizing enemy soldiers and securing critical control nodes. The enemy was disoriented, unable to respond effectively to the unpredictable human tactics. Inside the command vessel, human officers manually shut down weapon systems and communication networks. It was dangerous work, with enemy reinforcements arriving unexpectedly. Quick thinking and teamwork were crucial. Outside, the fleet engaged in continuous skirmishes. Enemy reinforcements tried to counterattack, but human adaptability and coalition coordination kept them off balance. Laser and plasma fire lit the void, turning space into a chaotic battlefield. Hours passed with intense fighting. Human-led teams succeeded in neutralizing the command vessel systems. Explosions rocked the enemy ship as critical points were destroyed, rendering it useless. Enemy morale dropped, and other ships began to retreat. Admiral Day watched carefully. Do not allow them to regroup. Pursue and disable their remaining capital ships. Keep our forces safe while maintaining pressure. Jisoo and Mira executed the plan flawlessly, leading squads to intercept fleeing ships. Some enemy vessels surrendered, others were destroyed in controlled engagements. The human and allied coalition minimized losses while maximizing effectiveness. At the same time, Ambassador Hannah coordinated relief and medical support for allied crews and civilians caught in the battle. Every wounded soldier and civilian was treated, showing that humanity's leadership was not only about fighting but also about care and responsibility. Finally, after a long and exhausting engagement, the enemy forces were defeated. The remnants fled deep into uncharted space. The coalition had achieved a decisive victory. Humanity had proven that it could lead the galaxy not by domination but through courage, strategy, and protection. On the observation deck of the flagship, Day looked out at the stars. Ships from human and alien fleets returned to safe zones, some damaged but alive. The galaxy, though scarred, had survived. Jesu joined him, weary but proud. "We have done it, Admiral. The enemy is broken. The galaxy is free for now." Day nodded slowly. "Yes, but we must remain vigilant. Leadership is about responsibility, not control. We protect, guide, and ensure stability. This victory is just the beginning of building a new order." Aliens who had once doubted humans now praised their courage and leadership. Taro approached Hannah and said, "Your people are different. You fight with honor and protect the weak. We will follow your guidance willingly." Hannah smiled. "That is the only way to lead. Not through fear, but through trust and example." Back on Earth, President Yuna addressed the world. "The galaxy has faced darkness, but humanity has stood strong. Our fleet has led an unprecedented coalition, protecting lives and stopping tyranny. We must continue to act with courage and responsibility. The future is in our hands, and we will guide the galaxy with honor." Admiral Day returned to the bridge one last time that day, watching the stars stretch across the void. The galaxy had fallen overnight, but humanity had risen with determination. The Soul Defense Fleet had shown that humans could lead, inspire, and protect. The battles were over, but rebuilding had begun. Systems once lost were recovering. Trade routes reopened. Refugees returned to safer sectors. Alien governments recognized the importance of cooperation and trusted humanity's leadership. Day thought of the journey, from a small, underestimated species to the leaders of a coalition that had saved the galaxy.